Why is the Express silent on Balisier house financing? An editorial by Curtis Anthony O'Brady. The question is no longer polite. It is direct, it is urgent, and it is backed by public concern that continues to grow. Why is the Trinidad Express newspapers refusing to investigate and report on the financing of Balisier House? This is not speculation. This is not distraction. This is a clear matter of public interest tied to the People's National Movement, an institution that has held state power and influence over national resources for decades. When such an entity constructs and maintains a major political headquarters while admitting to financial strain, the public has a right to demand answers supported by documents, not silence supported by deflection. The facts that are already in the public domain raise red flags. Statements were made acknowledging financial pressure within the party. Debt was referenced. Constraints were acknowledged. Yet despite those constraints, Balisier House stands completed, functional, and maintained. That is not a minor detail. That is a financial reality that must be explained in full. Any serious newsroom would see the contradiction and act. That means following the money. That means identifying donors. That means examining whether loans were secured and from whom. That means reviewing disclosures and audited financial statements. That means asking hard questions and publishing verified answers. Instead, what the public sees is a consistent pattern. The Trinidad Express newspapers appears far more interested in targeting the government led by Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar than in pursuing a legitimate financial question involving the opposition. That is not balance. That is not neutrality. That is a visible imbalance in editorial focus. You cannot build credibility while ignoring an issue of this scale. You cannot present yourself as a watchdog while refusing to bark when the facts point in a politically inconvenient direction. The role of the press is not to choose comfortable targets. The role of the press is to pursue truth wherever it leads, even when that truth challenges powerful institutions. This is where the concern deepens. When a media house consistently avoids a legitimate line of inquiry, the public begins to question motive. Is this a failure of journalistic will, or is it a deliberate editorial choice? Is the silence a result of oversight, or is it protection? These are not abstract questions. They go to the core of media credibility in Trinidad and Tobago. The country has seen this pattern before. Selective outrage, selective investigation, selective publication. One side is placed under a microscope while the other is allowed to operate in the shadows. That approach does not inform the public. It distorts reality. Let us deal with specifics. Balisier House did not appear by chance. It required financing. It required planning. It required execution. Money moved. Decisions were made. Records exist. The public is entitled to see those records. Who financed the construction? Provide the names of individuals and entities. Provide the amounts contributed. Provide the timeline of payments. If loans were taken, identify the lenders and the terms attached. If donations were received, confirm whether they complied with all legal and ethical standards. If contracts were issued, disclose who benefited.
These are not extreme demands.
These are the minimum standards expected in any democracy where political organizations operate with influence over national life. Transparency is not optional. Accountability is not negotiable. The continued silence on these questions creates a vacuum. In that vacuum, suspicion grows. When facts are not presented, the public is left to draw conclusions based on what is missing. That is a direct consequence of inaction. At the same time, the government led by Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar operates under constant scrutiny. Every decision is analyzed. Every policy is debated. That is part of democratic life, and it should continue. But that same standard must apply across the board. There cannot be one rule for the government and another for the opposition. The imbalance is clear to any citizen paying attention. It is discussed in communities. It is debated in workplaces. It is questioned in public spaces. People are asking why one of the country's most influential media houses is not pursuing a straightforward financial investigation tied to a major political institution. This is not about defending one side and attacking another. This is about consistency. This is about fairness. This is about the integrity of information that reaches the public. A functioning democracy depends on a press that is willing to confront power without fear or favor. When that willingness appears selective, the entire system is weakened. Trust declines. Credibility erodes. Citizens become skeptical not only of political actors, but of the information they receive. The Trinidad Express newspapers has the capacity to do this work. It has journalists, researchers, and access to information channels that many citizens do not. The question is not whether it can investigate. The question is why it has chosen not to. This silence is not neutral. Silence in the face of legitimate questions is a position. It benefits those who avoid scrutiny. It disadvantages the public that depends on accurate reporting. The responsibility now is clear. Investigate the financing of Balisier House with the same intensity applied to other political matters. Publish the findings. Present the documents. Let the public assess the facts for themselves. Anything less reinforces the perception that the media is not acting as an independent watchdog but as a selective participant in the political landscape. The people of Trinidad and Tobago are not asking for speculation. They're asking for evidence. They are asking for transparency. They are asking for equal treatment in how issues are covered and pursued. The question remains, and it will continue to be asked until it is answered with facts. Why is the Trinidad Express newspaper silent on the financing of Balisier House? Do the work. Follow the money. Publish the truth.